Hello, and welcome to Mondays with Melissa. I'm so excited that you're here. So excited to be here. And I thought it would be relevant while we're still in the month of February. In fact, we just had Valentine's Day yesterday to talk about love. And so far, we've covered self love. And last week, I covered love and relationships. And this week, I want to talk about loving our kids and something that I've learned on my journey of being a parent. I do not profess to be an expert by any sort of the means. I feel like parenting has been an extremely refining process. It's really changed me for the better, and it's just been a really interesting journey. And I just wanted to be transparent today and share something that I wrestled with a lot in the beginning of my motherhood journey, and something that I think I have gotten better at. But I see a lot of parents and children having this dynamic. So just kind of wanted to address it today. And so I want to talk about letting go of your expectations for your kids. I see a lot of parents who have maybe a vision of what their child will be like and how they'll act and what they'll do and what they'll wear and the sports and the activities. And I think the most visible way this comes up is in sports. If you have maybe a parent who was an athlete in a particular sport and really presses their kid to do that sport as well, even though the kid may not like it. I saw this in a friend of mine actually, and the parent was really active and involved in the sport. It was really important to them. And they really kind of put this pressure unknowingly on their child. And their child was like, I don't really like this. I like this sport better. So it worked out beautifully. But I think it's just really interesting that a lot of times we have this vision or this ideal or this expectation of what our kids will be like, and they may not be that. And we need to be okay with that because we need to accept them for who they are and how they're made. And I know for me, like I am a girly girl, you guys. I like do the hair, the makeup, the jewelry. You can see my earrings if you're on YouTube. I've got the bracelet. Like I do this. This is my day. I was in a sorority. Like I just am very much a girly girl. It's who I've been. Now our daughter would say she's a little bit more of a tomboy. So she's not going to be wearing the pink and, doing the hair and the jewelry and the makeup. And that is okay. I remember when she was a newborn, I used to love to put her in pink and girly, and that was super fun. But then as she has grown older and she's kind of come into her own and has her own tastes and preferences, she doesn't dress that way. And that's okay. And I think we need to accept that. And if there is a little bit of sadness or grief or frustration around that, it's okay. Feel that. Because if you don't feel that, you're going to carry that. And then if something happens that triggers you in that feeling, it may come out sideways. So it's really important to deal with and process our emotions as they can come up, as we feel them. We don't need to act on them, but I think we can't push them down and ignore them. I think we really need to acknowledge how we're feeling and move through the process of just the human experience, right? Of the emotions and the feelings and everything that goes with that. And so really the point is today is you can love your kids super well by accepting them for who they are and who God made them to be, even if that doesn't meet your vision or your expectation of what you wanted them to be. Now, granted, my kids are still younger. They're still at our home. I don't know what it's like to have older kids and have these type of conversations. So this conversation is also probably pertinent and relevant to the season of life that you're in. So for me, I'm speaking to parents who have younger children at home and they're still raising them and they're still able to speak into their lives. But I think regardless, the best thing we can do for anybody is accept them, regardless of whether they're meeting our expectation or not, and hear them and listen to them and honor them. And so if you find yourself feeling frustrated with your kids because they're not doing what you think they should do or what they want to do, and there's a difference here, granted, we have issues with chores at our house. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about character and really focusing on what matters. So for me, I've had to let go of the fact that my daughter probably won't wear a dress every day. That's okay. I don't really want to wear a dress every day either, if I'm honest. So I think it's having a healthy appreciation for who you are as a parent and having a healthy appreciation for your children and who they are as children and know that their likes and taste and preferences may not be the same as yours. And that's okay. I think for us as a family, that's probably the hardest thing we navigate because you have 4 different people with 4 different personalities and likes and dislikes. And so sometimes agreeing on an activity for fun is not the easiest thing because somebody wants to do this and somebody wants to do that. And so it's really just having that communication that we talked about last week is definitely a part in really just honoring and respecting one another and compromising and meeting in the middle. So I just want to come on here because I felt pressed to talk about loving your kids well by accepting them for who they are if they aren't living the way that you want them to and being interested in the same things that you are or that you were as a child. I think sometimes we can take our childhood and try to put it on our kids, and that's not really fair to them. I think we need to let them have their own childhood. And maybe we can share parts of our childhood with them. Like when we lived in a certain state, there was this camp that I went to growing up, and I loved it. It was like the best part of my childhood. And we lived in that near the camp, and our children went and they didn't like it. And yeah, it was disappointing. And it was kind of like, oh, really? You didn't like it? But it's okay because they're not me and I'm not them. I can't expect them to be me. And I just don't think that that's fair. So that's what I came on here today to say on this Monday with Melissa, was just how to love your kids well by accepting them for who they are and the way that they're made and not putting your expectations on them. And there's a really great book that I will leave you with that we read several years ago called Parenting Where Grace is in Place. And I'll put a link in the show notes so you can have the right book and the author, and a link to Barnes & Noble or Amazon or wherever you buy books. I'll put the name of the book and the author. So if you're interested in reading that because you find yourself struggling with this, that's a resource that would be helpful for you. So, all right, friends, I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will be back next week. And we'll talk about some things related to spring because it'll be almost March. So, all right, friends, talk to you next week.